Happening, party people? Happy Motivate Monday. This is your daily morning motivational message because motivation's a lot like taking a bath. You got to do it every day. You want to keep up your personal hygiene. You want to have a standard. Otherwise, the stink will build up, the stench will build up, the layers of dirt will build up, and those layers can build up in our minds. There is a thing called mind plaque. And what happens with the mind is that we habituate negative, toxic thoughts. We habituate negative language. We habituate talking down to ourselves. We want approval from this person or that person. We're always looking for outside validation. We need confirmation. What we really need is affirmation. And because of this personal abuse, because of this lack of personal development, because of this neglect that we engage in when it comes to taking care of our mind, well, this plaque begins to build up and it creates these layers of negativity, toxicity, small thinking, self-imposed limitations. And that's harder and harder to get through as we move through life because we have habituated a pattern of self-sabotage and self-destruction. So even though we still have instincts for greatness, we still have a reaction to something that is positive and maybe what's possible for us, we end up talking ourselves out of it. We end up staring away from that path. We end up not taking the time to cultivate and develop a clear, concise mental picture of greater success for us. We move away from all of that because we have built up the plaque, because we haven't engaged in the daily morning motivational messaging. We haven't engaged in positive, uplifting self-talk. We haven't engaged in patterns that will really develop a success track that is always playing. So even when things are difficult, underneath the difficulty is our success track. Even when things are challenging, underneath the challenges is the success track. And we always have those things to fall back on. And when you're going through challenges in life, when storms come, when difficulties arise, you fall back to whatever your habit patterns are. So you may think that you've built yourself up. You may think that you're quote unquote ready, but your habits are going to reveal if you really are or not. You ever heard the phrase, you find out who your friends are when the S hits the fan? Well, that's a very true statement because when trouble hits, that's when you have the opportunity to see who really how people are, who they are, how they move. Like you don't really know someone until you go through something with them. And that tells you a lot about yourself and a lot about that person. And so it's the same thing with your mind. Unfortunately, the majority of people's self-talk is negative. Unfortunately, we are bombarded with so much toxicity and stressors and negativity on a consistent daily basis. There's so much noise, there's so much distraction that it gets us off course, and we're not doing the daily discipline of personal development and growth ritual, reading, listening to positive audios, watching clips like this. And it doesn't take a lot, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about a small section of your morning or a small section of your day where you invest in yourself and you allow these words to wash over you. You allow these words to inform your capacity for improvement, your capacity for removing the plaque that is built up. You know, some people have goals and they have dreams and they stick with them. They don't negotiate with those goals and dreams. They stay the course no matter how difficult it may be. They stay the course. Others, when times are challenging, when things are difficult, they internalize it. They take it personally. When they fail, instead of getting up and learning from the failure, they internalize the failure. It becomes pervasive, and then it becomes a permanent part of their identity. And so not only do they quit on themselves, they quit on their goals and their dreams, and they take that quitting as a habit pattern. And that's where the plaque begins to build up on the mind. And so if there's another opportunity, if there's another window where they can find a path and they can grow and develop and learn and get better, they're tentative, they're hesitant. And even if they do engage, they only engage enough, just enough action, just enough effort so that they can fail. And that will give them confirmation bias because they've already made up their mind they're going to fail anyway. They've already decided and that their goals and dreams are too big and they got to make it more realistic. They got to bring it down to size because they're living in a mediocre masses environment. They're living with a substandard job. They're living with a substandard paycheck. And so everything that's around them is confirming that they don't deserve. They shouldn't aspire to something that's far greater. How dare they aspire to earn millions of dollars when they've never made more than $80,000 in a year? So they have all of this negative self-talk that is built into the plaque, that is built up on around the mind. And so they have a glimpse of an opportunity, but they can barely see it. What they can see are the bills. What they can see clearly is the debt. What they can see clearly is the substandard paycheck. What they can see clearly are the limitations of their job, the disappointments of their job, a place where they're overworked and underpaid and disrespected. What they can see is the challenges of day to day and the stressors of day to day. If they have a relationship, if they have kids, if they have issues, right? They can see all of that because that's happening in real time. And so there's so much noise in front of their face, so many distractions, so many reminders of their current situation that they don't have the bandwidth. They don't take the bandwidth. They have it, but they don't take the bandwidth to build a bigger and brighter vision. They won't give themselves permission to even dream big, to even goal big, because they are overwhelmed with their current situation. What they don't understand, and maybe this has happened to you, is that your current circumstances are not your conclusion. What you must understand is that your responsibility is to build and cultivate and develop a clear, concise mental picture of that dream and goal that you believe is yours because it's in your heart, it's in your spirit. It didn't just come from anywhere. It came from within you. That's number one. Number two is you got to do the work to remove the plaque because you cannot put a goal or a dream into your mind on top of the plaque because it'll be there temporarily. But as soon as something happens, boom, it's gone. Why? Because it couldn't get through all that plaque. So you have the initial, you're excited. You get up one morning, I'm gonna change my life, Ed. I'm gonna do it this time. No, really, for real, I'm about it. And you start and then you stop. You start, life happens, you stop. You start, life gets in the way, you stop. You start, you're excited, you're doing the right things, and then it gets hard, and then you stop. Because you haven't dealt with the plaque around the mind. And the way that you do that is by the books that you're reading. The way that you do that is by taking personal inventory and addressing some limiting beliefs that have been holding you back. Looking at some habit patterns that have been self-sabotaging your growth, your progress, and your success. Looking at the actions that you're not taking that are going to get you to the outcome that you aspire to. And it takes work, it takes discipline, it takes daily activities that are counterintuitive to your own laziness, the laziness of your mind, the laziness of your spirit, the laziness of your aspirations. It takes the time for you to sit down. If you have to write your goals down every single day until it becomes a part of you at a cellular level, then you write your goals down every single day. If you have to sit and meditate on your dream and live in your future and feel the energy and the spirit of having zero debt, not owing anybody anything, a feeling of having the ability to pick and choose how you want to spend your time, where you want to eat, where you want to live, what you want to drive. You have no limitations whatsoever because you've done the work in order to build your success, to build yourself, to build your income, to build your cash flow because you've done all of these things and you've done that work. If you have to sit down and interact with that dream and the feeling of that achievement, the feeling of that financial independence, financial dignity, financial strength, then you do that. You got to do it every day because that's what we call working on the plaque. Now you're chipping away at the plaque, chipping away at the plaque, and eventually you remove the plaque and you're back to your mind because you're telling your mind what to do instead of your mind telling you what to do. When there's plaque, your mind tells you what to do. Your mind tells you that your dreams are too big, your goals are too aspirational, you have too much ambition, that's not realistic. When you remove the plaque, you tell your mind what to do. And that's when you begin to open up your truest capacity. That's when you can discover what you're really made of. Ladies and gentlemen, you're leaving so much on the table because you haven't done the work. When the storms come, we fall back to our default setting. The question is your default setting one of success or one of resignation? Don't let it be one of resignation, because you will live a mediocre life until you die. Let it be one of success. You will be committed to your personal growth and development. You will be a problem solver. You will be an overcomer. You will be a figure outer, because everything is figure outable. If you got some value out of this, please like and subscribe. Go ahead and pass this message on to somebody else, because it is a blessing to be a blessing. Let's make a good final day, final week of this awesome February. Take care. I'm sorry, this awesome May, not February. What am I talking about?